Hello everyone, welcome back to Harp and Guitar, People and Music. So today, as you may guess, I'm going to be focusing on one of my favorites here, my man, the Howlin Wolf. Now I have to admit, at first, didn't really know how to place the Wolf here. He's a fantastic blues harp player, and he's a very accomplished blues guitar, electric guitar player, which is something I only just found out myself a few years ago, that the Howlin Wolf had a reputation as being a fantastic slide electric guitar player, much in the vein of Muddy Waters, for example, but not quite as Chicago-fied, shall we say. A little bit more of still that Southern blues influence. Now, the reason for that really is because the Wolf here, whose real name, by the way, was Chester Burnett, Chester Arthur Burnett. The Wolf here really didn't start his recording career until quite late in his life. I think he was right around 40 or pushing 40 or something like that when he eventually moved up to Chicago and started recording with Chess Records. But prior to that, the Howlin Wolf was huge in Memphis, Tennessee. He was one of the first rock stars, really, in the late 40s and early 50s. He had a reputation as being a fantastic and energetic showman, and his live shows were something to behold. He was known to crawl around on all fours like a dog, or like a wolf, and all of his songs contain a sort of a haunting, what he called a howl or a moan, which he's famous for doing, which sounded very much like a wolf howl. It was a ghostly sort of a type of thing. Very deep, very growling, and very haunting. I can remember as a kid, actually, my dad listening to some Howlin Wolf records, and I remember being scared of the songs because to me he sounded like a ghost, or a wolf ghost, as I said it. Now, some of Howlin Wolf's earliest recordings, as I mentioned, in the late 40s and early 50s, before he even went up to Chicago, were for Sam Phillips, once again at Sun Records. And a lot of people forget that Sam Phillips was very instrumental in recording a lot of early bluesmen. Sam Phillips was quite well known for recording, early artists that would come to sort of form the basis for rock and roll. Elvis Presley and Jerry Lee Lewis and Roy Orbison and Johnny Cash. But he, prior to recording these fellows, did tons of recordings of blues artists. Guys like James Cotton and the Wolf here, for example. Now, as a result of the majority of the Wolf's early part of his career being rooted in Memphis, he had a completely different style. He was more sort of raw and had more of a ruckus and what I like to refer to as a controlled chaos. He still employed some of the best musicians in the biz in terms of guitar players and rhythm section and so on. But really, the Howlin Wolf as a performer, as a bluesman, was second to none. He was almost godlike to many men of his time and many that would be influenced by him in the future. He was, over 6'4", 6'5", weighed around 300 pounds. It was just a giant of a man. And he could make this tiny little harmonica sound like almost as booming as his massive booming voice. Now, he did, of course, eventually move up to Chicago when Sam Phillips, for financial reasons, had to sell the Wolf's contract to Chess Records. And basically, the rest is history. And, of course, some of the Howlin Wolf's finest recordings were made at Chess Studios in Chicago. But as I said, this wasn't until Howlin Wolf was well into, quote, middle age by this time. He wasn't a young man. But his energetic performances live in the local juke joints and blues clubs of Chicago, as well as the pure raw energy that he put into every recording that he made, only seemed to propel his greatness. And again, quite an extensive library of Howlin Wolf. And he lived well into the 1970s, to the point where he also toured Europe and parts of the UK, and has a lot of live recordings. And this is where you can really, this is where the essence of the Wolf style of playing the blues is really captured, are live performances of the Wolf. And there he is, the man with the gold teeth and all. Huge, huge man. Big booming voice, big booming sound, big booming music. This album here, Live and Cooking at Alice's Revisited, is a fantastic example of that. It's got him playing live versions of a lot of his classic blues tracks, and a lot of them, his vocals are so strong and powerful, and his harp playing is unbelievable. And of course, his guitarist Hubert Sumlin was one of the best that ever plucked the strings on that electric blues guitar. So, yeah, and very, very highly recommend. One of my favorites for sure. And again, he traveled Europe and parts of the UK, as I mentioned, and he also, much like Muddy Waters, recorded a London Sessions album. And once again, some of our British musicians caught wind of this and jumped at the chance to record with one of their blues heroes, the Howlin Wolf. This album here is a great album. Again, features a lot of Wolf's classic tracks and has artists such as Eric Clapton, Steve Winwood, Bill Wyman, the bassist for the Stones, Charlie Watts, the drummer for the Rolling Stones. Some great classic tracks, as I mentioned. Sitting on Top of the World, Highway 49, Rockin' Daddy and Wang Dang Doodle, The Red Rooster. Actually, that track, the Wolf teaches Clapton how to play the Red Rooster on guitar. It's quite amazing. So there you go, a little bit about certainly one of my favorites, the Howlin Wolf, Mr. Chester Arthur Burnett. I would highly recommend anything, once again, that you can get your hands on, that you see Howlin Wolf in the title, especially the chess stuff, of course. Very powerful, highly recommended, essential listening. And as I said earlier in the video, so unique of a sound and such a great bluesman that it's just very hard for me to categorize where to put him. Do I put him with the harp players? Do I put him with the guitar players? Do I put him with the creative singers, the showmen? So really I just decided to do a standalone video for the Wolf because he was so unique, but also because he's definitely one of my personal favorites. I think in terms of bluesman, standalone bluesman, he's my all-time favorite. So I would highly recommend that if you're not familiar with the Wolf's body of work, to definitely check it out. So I think that's going to do it for today. I want to thank everyone once again for coming by Harp and Guitar, People in Music, and checking us out. Let us know what you think, and please don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you again real soon. Thanks a lot, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.